I'm a little late to the party, but having just finished episode 23 of My Hero Academia, I was immensely impressed. This is, in my opinion, the best fight in the whole series so far. After so long, with Kacchan's pent-up emotions and anger towards Midoriya, this fight had a whole lot of impact. I want to discuss why this is the best fight in the series, even surpassing the one against Todoroki in Season 2. First of all, you need to understand what I look for in a good fight to understand why I think this one is great. The most important part for me is pacing. Pacing is a really vague word, so I'll explain what I mean when I use it in this context. A fight needs to be quick. It needs to cut away most of the dialogue to a minimum. If dialogue is still necessary, it should be worked into the fight or fit within the narrative of it. Animation needs to be fluid and carry a punch, while still being quick enough that I don't need to stare at the same frame for too long or constantly rely on panning the character with tweening. Tweening is the act of moving a drawing across the screen without redrawing it. So, quick, uninterrupted, and impactful are the key words for the fights I enjoy the most. This fight carries all of the above. However, it does break the flow once in a while for a short conversation. Actually, this is a rare exception to this rule, simply because of the dynamics between the characters. Had this been a fight against a villain, I would not have liked it as much as I did, simply because of the interruptions. However, this isn't a fight against a villain. No, it's the complete opposite. This is a fight against a childhood friend. Kacchan may not have been the best friend towards Midoriya, but he was his friend nonetheless. This allows dialogue interruptions in the fight to feel natural, as they're not fighting to kill each other, but for narrative reasons that I will discuss later in the video. Actually, the interruptions in the fight are handled quite masterfully. They allow for a break to let the fantastic animation sink in. The breaks are not put there to lighten the workload and animation either, as even the dialogue is animated with fluidity far beyond what most of the show manages to do. It has expressions animated tonally correct to what the message is trying to convey, and is delivered with voice acting that also goes a little beyond what I'm used to in this anime. I should also mention that I'm watching this in its original Japanese language. These breaks are also there only for a short time and are not filled with flashbacks. Actually, there are flashbacks, but most of them are before the fight even begins or in the early part of the fight, allowing the fight to take place without complete interruptions. This allows for a fight that is a lot more dynamic than the one in Season 2 against Todoroki. My main issue with the fight against Todoroki is that while it carries a lot of meaning, the fight itself was boring and repetitious. There's not much fight choreography going into it. Having just rewatched the fight, I find the good animation to be placed unevenly as well. It starts out with a couple of boring shot compositions, but ends off with a spectacle, which I do have to admit being the most impressive cut in the whole series. It's especially apparent whenever there's a short break to deliver a line, as it usually ends up being a still frame of a character delivering the line, or at least something that lacks the fantastic character expression that the fight against Kacchan has in spades. Now, by no means do I think this is a bad fight scene. It's my second favorite in the whole series after this one against Kacchan. Now, I've been talking a lot about the meaning the fight carries with it, but haven't really explained what it is. The meaning of this fight is the natural outcome from what was foreshadowed during the first episodes of this arc, where it became clear that Kacchan didn't really buy the fact that All Might didn't treat Midoriya differently from the others. It was also foreshadowed at the end of the hero provisional license exam with his line, "With your power, it's only natural." This line indicates that he might know something more than he lets out, while still being vague enough that unless you already know that, you will probably miss it as a compliment that is a little bit out of character. He does, however, go on to say, "You made what you borrowed your own, huh?" Which is a callback to the earlier episodes. But if you come to this part on your rewatch, it will be clear that he was actually aware of what was going on for a long time. So, the meaning for this fight is for Kacchan to finally release his frustrations over how he was not the chosen one, but the friend he had looked down upon for being quirkless was the one. It frustrates him beyond belief that if he had been the one to show his strength when it was the most needed, maybe he could have carried on the legacy. But it's also just as frustrating for him that he has for all this time believed that he was the one that caused All Might's eventual end. Now, going into the fight against Midoriya was the natural result, as Midoriya had taken the powers that All Might, the hero Kacchan looked up to, away. This makes the moment where they pause the fight to talk much more impactful than the pauses in the fight against Todoroki, simply because Kacchan's problems also concerns Midoriya. The ending of the fight also managed to surprise me quite a bit, as a lot of these fights tend to end up with the protagonist winning. Back in the fight against Todoroki, the power level was too big for him to win, and it would be evident from the start that the fight would eventually lead to Todoroki winning. However, in the fight against Kacchan, that was not the case. At this point, Midoriya had progressed quite a lot, to the point where there's no longer a big difference in strength. The fight doesn't resort to the shonen battle trope of going in with a little bit more power that will lead to success. No, it goes for a clear defeat. Midoriya isn't strong enough, even though he has improved a lot. In the end, Kacchan overpowers him and ends the fight. To end this video off, I think this fight is the best so far, as it hits all the marks of what I consider a fantastic fight. It had a single continuous fight with natural pauses that didn't interrupt the flow, nor the animation. The animation itself is consistent throughout the whole fight instead of being focused on a singular moment, making the whole episode impactful instead of a single part of it. This further allows for the fantastic storytelling and amounts to what I consider the best fight in the whole series of My Hero Academia. This was my first proper video after a long break. I've lately been improving my writing so that my second video can carry my message better. I hope I managed to keep you intrigued throughout the video, and I hope you will look forward to my next videos. I'm planning to make a video recommending Dragon Pilot, and another one on why the first episode of Violet Evergarden should be enough to get you invested. So look forward to those. I have no idea when they will be out, or if they ever will, but at least that's what I'm planning to make. Toodaloo!